how can we transform that and shift that perspective into love and understanding and compassion?
Well, one, start with yourself. I think that's the biggest message for everyone. If you want to change the world, change yourself. That's the first way to begin the process.
Welcome to my podcast, Spiritual Quest, with me, your host, Vibeke Garnos, always guided by Spirit. I am very excited to share my gift with you and empower you to embrace your gift. So if you define yourself as a spiritual human being, then you've come to the right place. So prepare yourself now for an amazing journey where your soul will lead the way. Hello and welcome to the Spiritual Quest podcast. I'm going to start this episode by asking you a question. And if you're not driving or doing anything that requires your external attention, I want you to close your eyes just for a moment. And I want you to answer this question. Do you feel there is more to this life experience than you're presently aware of? Something that pulls at your heart, rings in your ears, and pulsate throughout your body and makes you feel strongly about your personal life journey. I've always felt a deep connection with the universe, and working so closely with my spiritual team, Zarius in the Order of Seven, I've had a knowingness of what my mission is in this life. And no matter what direction I've chosen throughout my life, I've always been guided by Spirit, bringing me even closer to my mission and helping me to embrace it, which I can tell you has been pretty messy from a human perspective. So before I introduce my very special guest, I want to share a message from my spiritual team with you. This message was channeled to a group they call Torchbearers back in 2013. And it goes something like this. Think about how the dimension of unity can assist in a world filled with tragedy if all souls use their power with focus and direction. The unity between souls and the power created is where magic resides. I love that. I'm very excited to introduce my guest. He is a New Earth visionary, leader, founder, and CEO of Starseeds, changing the world. Richard Melchizedek, I hope I pronounced his name right, unless I'll ask him, finds himself carrying a role of leadership through his New Earth energy and frequency, and he is here on Earth to assist in bringing forward a new era for all of humanity. Richard has been guiding Starseeds to step forward, embrace their authenticity, and move beyond the 3D realms of consciousness and awaken to and understand the energetic gifts that they bring into this lifetime. His calling is to help Starseeds find their true sovereign path of organic ascension and to assist those who are ready to awaken to their soul mission. I'm very excited to dive into a heart-centered conversation anchored within the dimension of unity with my guest and have him share his knowledge, wisdom, and insight on how we can step away from the walls of separation and into the fields of omni-love and unity consciousness. It's my pleasure to welcome Richard Melchizedek to the Spiritual Quest podcast. Welcome! Well, thank you so much for being here, Richard. And first of all, I would love for you to share with the listeners your personal journey of reawakening and how you ended up becoming a New Earth visionary.
Thank you. That's a big question. Um, for me, it was the healing path. I went through some health crisis in my life. So I had 4 near-death experiences before the age of 30, and I really was kind of put into a different journey to step outside of the medical system and just find different ways to restoring harmony and healing into my life. So my first goal was to heal myself, and I realized that the life I was living at that point wasn't actually serving me. It wasn't serving me on a soul level. Um, I think that's an interesting point to start to wake up, where you realize the life you've been living was actually doing you more harm than good. So it was a big aha moment for me. And it took me about, you know, working on myself every day for, I still do, but a good 3, 4 years. And then I was able to heal myself. And during that journey, I just started going through a deeper awakening. In 2011, I was contacted by the Syrian High Council and starting to get prepared for 2012 and to move into, the role I would be doing here at this time. And that was a lot of, breaking down what my understandings of reality were and my perceptual lenses to be able to open to hold a bigger view of consciousness. And then in 2017, I went through my full galactivation, where I started stepping more into my role and becoming a planetary grid worker, as well as preparing our star-seeded family that's here on the planet to also step into the roles, into their callings, and to provide that level of energetic support. So since then, I've been, a galactic communicator and a representative on Earth for our teams and families to usher in these stages of ascension and to support our family in preparing the angelic human DNA template to step into that God actualized human version that we're all starting to embody now. So that was kind of the quick version of my story and what I went through, and what really just drives me through it. One is just knowing how many other people are going through these experiences on the planet. Two, all of them or many of them are feeling alone or think they're, alone at that time. And that's why we created Starseeds Changing the World, because when I was moving through a lot of this stuff, I didn't know anyone who was having the same experiences. In 2017, I went through the full Kundalini awakening and my galactivation, and I just started, getting trained on all of these different scenarios and higher templates to be able to bring in. And it made me realize there's such a need for our family to be coming together at this time. We're not alone, as much as many of us may feel that at times in our lives. What you're experiencing, there's many other people on the planet that are experiencing the exact same thing as you, and it's important for us to really get out there and all of us to come together to sing our soul songs and to put that frequency out into the world and to anchor that pillar of light where you are. So that's why I'm here. One of the reasons is to usher in and support the changes on the planet, so we have the appropriate architecture on the planet to support the energies, as well as through the celestial architecture we spent from 2017 until 2022 basically preparing the planetary stargates as well as the universal stargates to now move into the next phase, where it's about bringing together all of our soul family and starting to get all of the new earth systems in place.
Wow. I have so many questions now. Let me start by this question: is for those who might not understand how this is unfolding. How do you get this information? How does it come to you? Is it something from inside, or do you hear voices, or how does this unfold for you?
For me personally, so when I went through my Kundalini awakening, I was actually went through a galactic channel upgrade to be able to have direct guardian communication. And that was just to support, the role and the process that I'm going through, because it's important to have, it's not always as easy for our celestial families and teams to have access here. So I went through a particular um, alignment to be able to support that. And
So, do you embody that within your being, or through your frequency, or how does that come forward?
so I have basically like a higher self, like communication, like chamber where we will like meet, with the other like teams and representatives. And that information that is like exchanged there will then come through the higher self channels and come in like a download or through light codes or through data packets of information, which are then integrated through whether it's messages or just like a full gnosis and an understanding, or it could be like blueprints and templates, which then are embodied. So there's like different forms and layers and levels to the communication, to being able to just receive the straight, like audible, like channels, as well as, I do a lot of like light codes and drawings and different um, ways to express what's coming through. So it's something that kind of actually like bypasses like the egoic mind, and is more, has like the embodiment of the soul, like gnosis. So it's like a feeling, it's like a remembering, as well as like the understanding.
Oh, wow. I love the way you said it's like a remembering. I'm
Mhm.
also a Life Between Lives hypnotherapist by Michael Newton Institute. And so I've done a lot of Life Between Lives sessions with people from
Mhm.
all over the world. And that sacred journey of bringing them back home into spirit and to be connected with their spiritual teams and to see what they receive and what they bring back from that experience and how they're embodying so much more of their soul energy and it's more pure in form. I'm thinking when you're speaking now that the remembering of your divine being, um, do you see that you've had like in your, I call it soul resources. I think you refer to it as energetic gifts. Is that, am I understanding? Is that the same as soul resources?
Yeah, it would be soul resources, or our DNA, like our DNA, our genetics, our blueprint, like our soul blueprint or crystalline blueprints, carry that as well.
So do you find when you connect with the order of the people that you, the energies of the high frequency energies that come forward, you call this celestial beings. It's just so many words, right? But the divine beings. So when you're channeling this information, how do you know how to bring it forward to create? Like you said, you're a New Earth visionary, so you're sharing this with Starseeds. You're about to changing the world, but do you do it by assisting others, or do you have any special gifts that you share with the world, like through healing? How does it unfold?
So yeah, we do. So personally, I do a lot of healing and I do a lot of mentoring. And we teach, a lot of different programs through our online platforms and that as well, to support everyone with moving through the energetic changes to be able to embody that higher frequency, resonance, and vibration, as well as we, have a team that's been doing supporting the planet and doing planetary grid work projects. We're getting prepared to be launching a whole newer system soon. That's going to be like a system outside of the matrix to support our family in coming together, and everything from a new earth like council to having like the layers that are going to support everything from the new earth monetary or financial systems to clearing up the oceans. And so it's going to be a pretty big project, and we're getting into that point where now we're bringing the next like pieces and keys together to create the system. So when people are ready, they'll be able to have a system they can jump into that's going to support them, that's actually aligned for their like organic like soul growth and resonance, which is why we're all here. This is a place of education for each one of us. We're here to learn and to go through the soul journey and to really transmute transmute the pathways that have been here before, so we can do something new this time.
It's pretty interesting, the time we're in right now and what you're sharing. I mean, look at the world. There's a lot going on. Like there's a lot of energy. There's a lot. I call it the waves. Or my spiritual team actually says it's the tides or the waves of frequencies that are moving so quick through our universal energy right now. And so it makes me think of a question for you, because what is really going on in the world right now from your perspective?
I mean, there's a lot of layers to that. More recently, what I'll share is the whole entire waters and oceans and the crystalline codex of water has been going through such a rapid transfiguration, and to hold a higher template for the planet, as well as the restoration of mother, mother returning to the planet, which is coming through the planet actually herself, through the universe, but also through the water like consciousness that's here on the planet. So this is something that's really been coming through over the last little while in terms of all of the energies that are being stirred up on the planet right now. Each area on the planet has, karma that's within the planet. And as the planet is going through the same process that each one of us are going through, the planet's going through it as well. So we're all going through this like rapid like transfiguration to really look at the energies and let go of what's not serving us, let go of things that are out of alignment, to choose a higher like consciousness path, and to create that like perfection blueprint. So as like each individual, we're here to do a level of like spiritual alchemy, which is to create that like God being. So this is why we're all going through a level of trials and tribulations and clearing of energies, because we're creating that new path for humanity to hold a higher blueprint. And the way that's done is by each one of us living our lives, really embodying it, being here, and honoring the things we're feeling and being able to process them on an emotionally intelligent level. And when we are able to work through that, we're creating that higher template. And eventually we'll become immune to a lot of the lower energies that have been surfacing on the planet by doing this. We're creating that template and blueprint for the star children that are coming in, and for the future of the planet and the higher consciousness beings that will be coming after us. So just to share with what's going on with the planet is also going through this ascension cycle right now. It's moving up in frequency and vibration. And every time the sun transitions into a new galactic stage within the galactic zodiac, it brings through another level of spiritual alchemy. So every time the sun transitions into a new phase, it means the planet transitions into a new phase. When the planet transitions into a new phase, it now starts to release these blueprints and templates from the planetary core through, and now we all start going through that changes as well. So any of the energies that are in the planet now start to get released, and that's what we're seeing right now. There's a lot of, beautiful energy, but there's also a lot of like chaos and all different kinds of streams that are there. And this is the way the planet is like clearing through like the collective like consciousness. It's because each area of land holds karmic like patterns which on the land which need to clear to be able to support the planet with holding that highest frequency.
I love to hear you share that, because I know that I'm in Europe and we're not that, we border to Russia and we have Ukraine in Europe. So there's it's easy to lose hope when you're seeing, and we do get a lot of refugees from Ukraine coming to Norway, and it's being on this path and having this human experience, and eh, many people question why we have to go through this. We understand it's a place of growth, but what needs to happen? Do you have any tips or tools or for each individual who's losing hope? I think this is a very difficult place to be right now. How can they shift into higher frequencies and to start opening up more for?
Well, one, I hope all of you know you're beautiful, and all of you know that you are here for a reason. You chose this life, and each one that I've spoke to that's crossed over has shared that, wow, they wish they were able to do more in the time they were here, because they understand that this is the actual like trajectory in the timeline that many of us chose back to come in to create this big change. So it's a really important point in the timeline. Now, so for each person, no matter what you're experiencing, you're a part of that, collective evolutionary piece for the planet. And there's a level of transmutation that's happening through the experiences you're going through. So know like source loves you, you are loved, you're here for a reason, even if you're doubting it. And the way our like God consciousness works is being able to witness through you and through your eyes as the eyes and ears on the ground as well. So to remember that divine power that you have within you to be able to compassionately witness the situations that are happening within your life and make it clear on what you consent to and what you don't consent to, and to reclaim that like sovereignty that as a creator being that each one has. When humanity begins to reclaim their like consent and their sovereignty, these situations will stop happening. What happens is through our consent, it allows these situations to play out more as well. And I mean, you can give energetic consent just by your emotional responses and reactions to a situation. So what happens is now when the energies are stirring up and we engage in the energies and we go into these deeper egoic responses, now we're kind of prolonging the energies on the planet as well. We're playing into those streams. And no matter what situation that you're in right now, your soul has led you there. Your soul has led you there. And there is a piece there that is for you to get back and to reclaim. And once we are able to really embrace the ownership on our life and for everything we're seeing and experiencing and witnessing, that's how our divine like power and authority and remembrance starts to get reclaimed, and it is challenging times, but these times are causing awakening like we haven't seen on the planet before. And we're basically making diamonds, right? And as much as we would like this process to just be easy for everyone and smooth, there's a lot of energy that has to clear. We look at the European landmass, we look at China, we look at, any of the more like older areas that have been population dense and experienced a lot of war, how does that war energy clear from the planet?
Mm.
One, it has to come up to the surface. Two, we have to consciously, as human beings, choose a different option as well.
Mm. It makes me think, I mean, we're so different as growing up on different places on earth. Our values are different, our communities look different. Um, some countries are, more richer than others. How do people see how can we transform that and shift that perspective into love and understanding and compassion?
Well, one, start with yourself. I think that's the biggest message for everyone. If you want to change the world, change yourself. That's the first way to begin the process. There will be more of, I was feeling into the energies on this one. What's happening is different areas on the planet are waking up at different times. So, and with each one that kind of like wakes up, it supports another area in the planet and coming up in consciousness too. So we're kind of, it's not the entire planet that's simultaneously awakening, because when one area awakens, it stirs up areas in another one, stirs up energies that have to come up for processing. So the way that we are going to be able to like really start to um, come together, one is the heart consciousness, emotional intelligence. Uh, Emotional intelligence is what will be leading the way for humanity, like going forward in the way that we select, whoever it is that may be in a position of leadership. I also feel we're going to be having more like, new earth councils and moving away from government. And there's going to be, new technologies that are coming online. There's everything from the new technologies to like newer education systems to um, the way we live within our communities. We've really lost that community feeling. And as humans, community is something that's within our ancestry, and slowly throughout the generations, we've had that community taken away from us. So part of the remembering and changing this shift on the planet is remembering community, remembering yourself, remembering who you are, and then when you're able to do that, you're able to recognize your fellow brother and sister. So I feel that is where a lot of the breaking down has occurred, is like in the restoration of community and in the restoration of self.
So, if we're looking at the human timeline here, how long do we have to wait?
It's how long does it take for everyone to say no?
Mm, that
I'm
seems
not going to
pretty.
experience this anymore, and I don't
No,
consent to it.
no, I
We
see.
can, and that's a big question, right? There's a lot of
Mm,
people that when, if you look at the lens that everybody is viewing the world through right now, we all have different lenses, that lens of perception. And if you remove that lens of perception, now you're challenging someone's entire reality. So not everybody wants to give up that perception that they're viewing the world through.
mm,
So situations are unfolding on the planet that are making us look at things differently, challenge the way we see things, to really open up and question reality. So this is what we're moving through, and the question is like, how long will it take people to realize the system they maybe are in or their life they're not living isn't serving them. And when they realize that, then it's like, now we actually have to take action on that and support ourselves in living a life that would be in our highest conscious alignment. Like, how can consciousness work through me?
I'm just reflecting because after speaking to so many people over the years, trying to find their soul purpose, trying to find their soul mission, it takes time and a lifetime sometimes. And it's like the older we get, I'm talking from personal experience right now, you become much clearer, or at least I do, in what I want to spend my time doing. You get to a place in your life. I actually called it the midlife crisis that shook me from a human perspective, telling me that, okay, that's not me. Why am I living my life this way when that is keeping me away from serving my mission or being authentic or speaking with my organic voice or whatever that looks like for me? And so when I woke up to that, I was like, okay, it had to be a messy ride for the human mind because the ego mind had to kind of go away, had to move past it and see that everything that was created was an illusion. And I could see myself, my authentic self, and the power that I've had my whole life. And then I could see these shades of limitations that I've either adopted or imprinted or taken on, want to take on the world, like want to serve, want to satisfy, any people out there, the external world, somehow be a good citizen, be a good daughter, all these things. And so waking up to that when you're like in your mid of your life, because I do have a lot of clients who's in the 40s and 50s. So my question is, when you wake up and you say, whoa, I've lived half my life because I've been working, following the guidance of spirit, the spiritual part of me has really evolved, but it's still things keeping you separate from living your authentic self, like living through allowing your power to shine through. So what's your best suggestion for people who's in their kind of giving up, or like, oh my God, half of my life is gone. What do I do? Like any guidance you can bring to that situation?
So I was a chef, and I was a chef for quite a while, and I had that same experience. Um, you know, I was very good at it. I was very, it was who I considered myself to be, a chef. That's not who I am, though. That was just a title that I had taken on, and I was playing a certain role, and that role wasn't actually serving me, as an angelic human or as man or, as woman, whoever, we're speaking with about. And it's like, how do we find our life purpose and our life calling? Well, what would you do because you love it so much and you would just be doing it anyway? Healing for me and helping people and wanting to bring our, star-seeded family together, I was just doing because I know there was a calling, and it was just, I loved connecting with our family. So I was just doing that even while I was still, working as a chef at one point. And I ended up just moving into that because it so outgrew my like passion, and I was going through all this awakening and different things. And that reality just started to leave because I chose the other one consciously to like step into what my heart was actually leading me to do. So the first thing is, what would you do no matter if you didn't get paid for it If you didn't get the glamour, you didn't get the glory or any of that, what would you do just because you love it so much? And bring that unique genius out into the world. Number 2, your soul mission. This is a huge thing for everybody to understand here. Stop confusing yourself. Your soul mission and your purpose in this lifetime exists in the present moment. And if you can be present in your life, just as you and I are in this conversation, we are serving our missions. Your ability to be present is the soul mission is a byproduct of that. So if you are in the future or you are in the past, you are not living your soul mission. If you are here, grounded in the present moment of now, in your relationships with your children, in your relationship with your partner, and in what you love to do, you are living your soul mission. And that's how I explain it, as well to, my clients too, because they're a lot of, as well in that same similar like age grouping where it's like that whole life I was living, like, who am I now? And it's like, well, you were never really that. That's something you did. And all of that has provided you with all of these, experiences and helped you move through so much like trauma and all of these different things. You don't throw that away. It serves such a powerful purpose to bring you to this point now. But it's like now you got to follow the heart. The mind, I always say, there was the period of my life where I listened to Richard and what Richard wanted to do. And now I'm in the period of my life where if Richard has an idea, I don't listen to that one. I listen to the one that my higher self will bring forward. Because I trust my higher self, and I'd rather be guided by spirit than guided by my ego or my mind. So Richard's the only one who's ever got me into trouble.
And that is fun sometimes, Richard, because you learn something. Like I said, it's messy sometimes.
And absolutely. And I think there's everybody wants this like perfect life, but it's not about that. You have to love the imperfections as well. And when you can embrace the beauty way, so the beauty in your life, this is how you really start to just see the mysteries and the magic and the wonder of everything that's happening now. So for many people, they've lost that beauty way. When we look at the way we process through emotions, and we'll give grieving as an example, it's one of my favorite ones. Most people, grieving is considered, ugly, or that energy nobody wants to be around. Where grieving, there's a beauty in grieving. And if you don't grieve and you're not connected into your emotions, then we actually start to flatline our emotional range and spectrum and we go numb. So by feeling in and understanding when you're moving through a grieving process or sadness or those more dense emotions, it's actually helping you become more human if you can embrace it. And you're going to experience a higher range of joy now, because the other side of that's joy. So this is, back to that emotional intelligent piece. And if you're feeling that emptiness or like numbness in your life, going back to what is driving your life right now. I think a lot of times we forget what that driving force in our life is supposed to be. And if love is the driving factor why you get up every day, why you do what you do, why you go into what you're going into, whether it's work or whether it's with your kids, and that's the driving focus behind your day, that's living your soul purpose. You're going to start to see a shift, but many of us are going through the motions. We're going through the motions and we're doing because we feel we need to or we have to, not because we love is the reason why. And that's what leads to burnout. It's what leads to that like emptiness feeling within ourselves, where we're like, something in my life is missing. What could that be? And it's that love piece, and it sounds very easy, but when we've emotionally numbed ourselves and we're wearing that perceptual lens and we're considering the way we're viewing the world as the actual reality and we've accepted that, it requires you to be willing to let that go and to step back and to open to a new reality and to view things different. There's a saying that in the expert's mind, there are a few options, but in the beginner's mind, everything's new. There's many options. So everybody's become, an expert by that middle-aged point in their life of something, many, many different things. So how do we return to the beginner's mind and be able to look at things new, fresh, like you're there for the first time? When you see your children, are you thinking, all the parent responsibilities, don't do this, don't do that? Or are you looking at them just in awe of how magical and beautiful they are and how much you just want to play with them? And that's like the difference between the expert and the beginner. The beginner exists within the present moment because there's no expectations. You realize all of that weight and pressure that you've put on yourself to carry, you don't have to carry it. You just let it go. And then if you're here and you're open and you're witnessing the moment and that freshness, consciousness just works through you. Now that's your mission.
Wow, that was beautiful. Makes me think again, because why do you think people are so afraid of love? Because there's a lot of fear out there. If it was that easy letting go and choosing love, people will do it.
Yeah. Well, maybe, okay. What I'm receiving on this, it's when did their definition of love change, right?
Yeah.
So everybody has a different definition of love. For some, it's in that first time where it started to change, usually holds like a level of like emotional imprint or trauma, right? And they don't want to process that emotion. So because they're not processing that emotion, there's a belief pattern they've had to create to be able to hold on to the trauma. Like love hurts, love sucks. It's okay for love to, hurt me, or for my relationships to not treat me in a way that's sovereign. So now the definition of love has changed. It's not what love is. It's that perceptual lens that they're viewing through now, and how many lenses. So I think everybody really wants love. How many people love themselves and are going to make them time to love themselves first? There's a lot of us, especially our light worker family. We want to help everybody, right? I've fallen into this. You want to help everyone, do everything for everyone else. But it's so important to remember to fill your cup. And if you're not filling your cup, this is what we're seeing in humanity. There's so many people walking around and their cups aren't filled. How can you receive love if you can't fill your own cup? You don't recognize what love is.
Oh, you're right. Yes, and it's so easy to fall into that service mode, as I call it. You go into that because you start out with a pure intention and you're excited to be able to share your gift and to be there for others because you have that compassion and you know how important that is, and you see the beauty in people. At least I know I love people. Like I truly love people. And it's like, even though they hurt me, I can still see the beauty in each individual human being, because I do see that spark of light. I know that, I think maybe it's because Zarius told me once that he said to me that on a soul's journey, we are all one. In spirit, we are all alike. And in knowing this, there is no discrimination. And I already knew that. Like, it's kind of been a mantra of mine. It's just so anytime I see or meet new people, I look for the love, I look for the good, I look for, the connection that unites us, the oneness in each and every one of us. And I think if we all could do that, choose to show up in our lives, first of all, see the love in ourselves so that we could have that mirror, so we could see the love in everyone else around us. I think that would really transform how the shift would happen or how quick everything can happen. And I want to share something with you, Richard, because I feel like we're in the same soul tribe, if I may call it that way. I had a group, started to channel back in 2012, and we've been a close group, and Spirit has sent us on what we call missions. So we've been asked to go to Iceland and find the portal to Tresna, which is another planet, and to activate crystals, which they call the journey of the whole crystal. And so we've been spending a lot of time giving love or unconditional love and light to these crystals. And I remember Spirit told me to be aware that when this specific person was going to come to my office, and I would reach out to her. I didn't know it was a woman at that time, but that I would had to be aware. Like my question when we started, how present, how aware are you of what's going on in your life? You have to be present to understand that. And as soon as she walked into my office, and I took her on a soul journey, and she's ended up on Tresna, and I've never met anybody else from Tresna. And so I was like, okay, I need to ask her when she comes out of the trance what she does for a living. And she was driving trains. But what she did was that she was for fun. That was her joy, her mission in life, if you wish, was being a mountain climber. And we had been preparing this crystal for so long. And I just heard Spirit ask her. And I just asked, I said, well, and I told her, I'd never met this person before. We've been working on this crystal, it's a selenite, and we've been bringing high vibrational energies. We've been using our trisonins, we've been filling it, and it's ready to be placed. It's called the whole crystal, I told her, and it's ready to be placed on the mountaintop. And she said, well, I'm climbing Dik Tau, which is on the border of Russia and Europe and Asia. And I was like, and this was in 2017, I think. And so she actually said yes. And remember carrying this crystal, it was not a small crystal, up this mountain. And, I think it's 5,600 meters above water. So it's, you have to be a mountain climber to get there. But she actually said yes. And she brought this crystal up there. And I've been thinking about all that love that we've been giving to this crystal. And it's on the mountain of Dik Tau, and it's feeding down through the mountain. It's through the snow, through inside the mountain, through the water, through the air, and it's now just filling this whole place, and Russia and Ukraine, and with this beautiful, beautiful energy. And we still connect with this crystal when we meet once a month, and we continue to give of our hearts, our unconditional love in our spirit. And it just feels, I think this is the magic of opening up to that unconditional love and to opening up to our soul's resources and our gifts. That magic really do happen. Like I could never foresee that this woman coming to me was a mountain climber, and we've been preparing this crystal, and I had no clue how to get it on the mountain. I'm not a mountain climber. I'm not climbing that mountain. So having her come in and she's saying yes today, it's just such a beautiful example of how the right people, how we are connected, how we come in and out of our lives, but we're all here united through that unconditional love, that oneness. And as long as we're open and willing to share and be authentic, I think that's, for me, hearing about what you do. And I think that's why Spirit wanted me to connect with you, because I have a group called Rainbow Visionaries. So we meet every month and we do healing, and we work together, and we have all different resources. And these are also star seeds. And that is bringing me into my question for you, because there's a lot of information about star seeds, and sometimes it's becoming a label, and it's hard, you get stuck in the label without sensing what it means. So would you please share from your perspective, what is a star seed, and why are there so many here on earth at this time?
Oh, I thank you for everything you just shared too. That was a beautiful story. All right. So there's like lots of different levels. Like we all have like a universal and cosmic like connection. Each person that's here right now, on average, everybody has another 12 like identities that are existing within this like universal time matrix. So what the starseed like blueprint is for humanity is having that like restored 12 strand or higher DNA template that they have access to. So if we were to look at, you hear the 144,000 and that word being, or numbers being put out there. And what that is the 144,000 is a starseed collective that holds the entire genetic templates for humanity. So within that 144,000, each one of those that awakens and goes through their deep healing process starts to awaken their ancestral lineage. So what the starseed family is at this time, it's like, think of source saying, like looking down at all of its creations, and eventually it loses its feet and can't see its feet, and it loses its legs, and then it's starts not being able to see certain parts of its body, and then eventually it's like, okay, well, we have to go and get all that stuff now. So the starseed individuals came in with those genetics and DNA like templates to go through the journey to remember how to get those parts back, how to return that like consciousness into source. So we are doing this like in this lifetime, bringing back all that is like source, all that is true, all that is into like the organic like flowering of creation. So starseeds have different like contracts that they have chosen to take on the planet at this time. And that could be, there's so many different, roles. I don't want to get into all of them, but one example would be like there's so much energy that needs to clear on the planet. So some starseeds are, helping shift the actual like collective consciousness. Some work with the land, to clear the energies from the land. Some are helping the masses in awakening and creating the new systems. So there's something for them to step into. So the Starseed Collective are the ones that have chosen to basically go first. And that's usually from knowing like, hey, this is our family. They're all our family. Like, how can we help them? I get emotional when I talk about this because we understand the level of suffering that's occurred. And some of it, is serving in the highest. And some of it, maybe we didn't need to go through in quite the depths that we did experience. So the Starseed family is being activated into their like roles to support that. So they have the higher like I don't want to say higher because there's no, when I talk like this, there's no like higher or lower. All it is if you were looking at the mission and what needed to be accomplished, some said I'll take this, some said I'll take that. So when we talk about different DNA strand templates and that, whether you hold a 48 strand, a 12 or 30, it's all the same because we're all like, related in family. Some said, I'll take that piece and I'll take that one. So we are basically have access into those genetics for like the transfiguration process. So with that, it's, I know people think it's weird because we're like, we've had lifetimes on other planets. But when I see most people have. Most people have experienced life on different planets, different systems, many times here. Some of them have spent a long time here. There's more new souls coming in now than there's ever been, right? Um, so the Starseed family basically came in to activate and to go through that like process of the reclamation of the DNA. And they do it through all their different little roles and things that are happening. And hopefully I've made that clear enough.
Yes, but it opened up so many other questions. But okay, we'll we'll have to discuss that maybe another time. But when it comes to people feeling maybe a little alone in this world, um, and looking for a community, maybe of starseeds, um, what is your suggestion to them to how to reach out to, to filter? I have to say it because I feel like there's so much information, it's overload sometimes on the internet, right? So if you Google, you're going to get like tons of, what's the star seed, how do I find my soul tribe, whatever. It's so hard. What is your best tips for those who are maybe feeling a little lonely, would love to have a connection with other star seeds and to start working and using their gifts?
Well, when you find your vibe, you find your tribe. That's the
I
first thing.
like that. When you find your vibe, you find your tribe.
Yeah. And it's like when we're in those deep periods of whether it's depression or feeling alone, that's not really where we want to make our like decisions and send the signals out into the universe, because that's what's going to come back to you. That same like energetic signature is what's going to be matched. So when you're processed through that and you're in a good space, an open hearted space, is when you want to then be trying, looking, if you're going to look for a spiritual community, the leadership of that community is really important that you want to look at. Heart centered, definitely doesn't hold any of those patriarchal, masculine like energies that we've seen in a lot of the spiritual communities. That would be one of my biggest tips, as well as just being aware of, egoic representatives like within that. You want, like I said, it's more about like open-hearted love, unity. And if you are actually ready to receive that, you will find it.
Mm,
If you're not, and there's some lessons for you, then you will go through those lessons so you can understand your relationships and what you need to do to support yourself in being able to receive those into your life, because that's another piece too.
mm,
We like have our Starseeds Changing the World community. I know you have your community as well. Um, you feel what resonates in your heart. When someone speaks to you, do you feel it in the heart? Do you feel it in your soul? Are you coming from a place of want and lack? Are you coming from a place of like authentic like connection? Especially with our star-seeded family, you know when you meet your soul family.
mm,
Feel it. You feel it in your being. And it doesn't have those like, there's so many like streams coming in. It's like, but really centered, open hearted, none of the obsessive stuff. It's really important. Because if we're in that, alone space, sometimes it becomes more of a want and more of a mental like projection for that like need being met,
mm,
as opposed to a heart like communication and opening and allowance and acceptance in.
mm. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, time flies. But before we end this conversation, is there anything at all channeled or coming forward at this moment for anybody listening? Words of inspiration, anything you would like to share with the audience?
yeah, like what I'm receiving from our celestial family is that, like, really remember you're here for a reason. Each one of you. Get through that doubt, let that go. Really opening to finding that trust and beauty within you. Each one of you have a calling, and it's like, what are you waiting for to answer the call? The universe is supporting you. Like, the universe is taking all of these steps to support you. But if you're not going to step forward to answer the call, you have to meet the universe with that. You taking those like steps is literally like the unlocking of the process, and just that reminder of the ebbs and flows, like, of creation, where some of us are the balance between the masculine and feminine. If the when source is on the out breath, it's in its masculine taking action. And when it's on its in breath, it's like the incubation, the pregnancy, the creation energy, just getting ready to come into life and birth. And then when it's birth, the masculine takes action. And it's important for each one of us to be in tune with our own rhythmic cycle of our masculine and feminine, being able to create a harmony within that. So there's some of us that are just in our feminine or just in our masculine. And it's so to really open up and to embrace that, and to accept those like parts of ourselves, then it becomes less about doing and more about being. If you want to experience love, it's like, I love this quote as well, where if you want to experience love, do you give love or do you take love? You be love.
Mm.
And that's how you experience love. And that's, a reminder: be with your children, be with your family, be with you, be with spirit, sit with it, be with it. Each one of us has that ability to just be here in the presence of ourselves and be okay with that. That's the greatest gift you can give to all of humanity right now, is your beingness in its living, like, actualized expression of God's source that then goes out to humanity through your unique crystalline pillar of light.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Richard. That was profound, and he touched me, and it's been pure love, pure joy just to be here with you today and share this sacred space with you. I truly appreciate you taking the time to show up here and share your gift with us. So thank you. And for anybody watching or listening, if you would like to learn more about Richard and how he is showing up in this world, then you'll find his contact information in the episode description. And before we end, I've got some exciting news to share. The Spiritual Quest Masterclasses is finally here. Some of my favorite podcast and live stream guests are now sharing their knowledge, wisdom, and insight with you through the Spiritual Quest Masterclasses, where they teach on their topic and share valuable resources in support of your spiritual quest. You can learn more about what masterclasses are available right now by clicking the link in the episode description. And one last thing, if you find these conversations valuable, please leave a review in your favorite podcast app. And of course, share it with the world. Thank you again, Richard. It's been beautiful. Thank you. Sending you all love and light from me, your host, Vibeke Garnos, always guided by spirit. Bye now.